Good morning. I'm Gracia, Santiago. As you know, I work in the national organization of the Spanish blind. We call it ONCE. I work in the educational department. And I'm going to talk about our University College of Physiotherapy. In the end, we are going to display a beautiful video about the college too. First, a brief introduction. In Spain, the profession of psychotherapists were officially recognized in 1957. It was established the academic requirements that give access to the official qualification, legally recognizing the practice of the profession both in the public and in the private sphere. Considering the equal rights of citizens, the Psychotherapy College of our organization was created in 1964, 50 years ago. Associated to the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Madrid, where only students belonging to ONCE could follow their studies. In 1980, the Psychotherapy College were integrated in the Spanish University, granting then the corresponding qualification of diploma in physiotherapy. Following the same trend and other physiotherapy college in 1986, a royal decree authorized ONCE for the creation of a school of psychotherapy attached to the University Autonomous of Madrid, being the third school of psychotherapy created in the country and the only specific for blind and visually impaired students. Since 1986 until now, the Psychotherapy College of ONCE has been updating its curriculum in a continuous adaptation to current legislation at all times. Now I'm going to talk about our college. In this psychotherapy college there are educative and training adaptations needed to achieve optimal levels of performance, which obliges to limit the number of students per year, only 24 nowadays, divided in two groups for the practical classes. The access to the physiotherapy studies for blind and visually impaired students are ruled by the same scales and requirements than for the other students. The different factor of this college lies on the previous access conditions, addressed by the University Autonomous of Madrid and the University's Council, and they are conducted to value the manipulative skills, the orientation and mobility, and enough knowledge of any of the codes and where applicable with the necessary technology aids for proper reading and writing communication. Furthermore, the training in the Psychotherapy College of ONCE differs from the other colleges of the country in three important aspects. A very individualized training with a high level of exigency, learning and training appropriate to the degree of visual impairment, using varied psychotherapy equipment, and a phased integration to the clinical field. Within this policy, it is also include the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and abilities that allow the students to use tools and equipment without adaptations, trying to be the individual who, through their personal or technical resources, gets adapted to the means to be employed. It is recognized in the educational and training process that the blind or partially sighted person follows a different cognitive process than the sighted ones. The signed person follows a procedure that takes him from synthesis in a first glance to an analysis with reduced stress level, while for the blind and partial signed is the opposite. It goes from the analysis of the parties to synthesis, which means more efforts. The academic training is spread over 4 years, where the 2 first courses are devoted according to the studies plan to the acquisition of basis science and psychotherapy, as well as the use of instrumental means without any adaptation for the blind. We try to include different equipments with the same function in order to let the students know about the variety that exists in the market and the way to use them. From the beginning, the theoretical training is delivered in classes with a reduced number of students, and in which the dense presentation is made with a small contribution of audiovisual aids, but using for its replacement some embossed models for blind and partially sighted students. The practice of the 2 first years are conducted among the students so that all of them act and make as models. It is when they start to have contact with patients to know about different pathologies and to get knowledge about the treatments applied to them. To make practice in human anatomy, they attend to dissecting classes of corpses, in which the mission is to recognize anatomical levels and structures that have been already explained in class. It is from here when they begin to acquire knowledge on science and psychotherapy methods, as well as in medical science and other complementary ones. The theoretical classes follow the same principle exposed before, and the practice of psychotherapy methods continue to be made among them until they acquire a basic level of abilities, skills, and knowledge. The 3rd course is mainly bound to make the student know about basic science, medical science, instrumental aspects and techniques of psychotherapy, to let them start to treat patients with different pathologies in hospitals concerted with the college that are in the same public health system, and of course supervised by collaborative teachers of those centers. This educative part has the aim of not only make a supervised application of the knowledge acquired, but to conduct themselves in a hospital environment with easy keeping a good level of integration. In the 4th grade, and within the clinic the college has, with outpatients from all kinds of contexts and different pathologies that can be treated under ambulatory basis, pupils under the close supervision of teachers apply treatments, conduct assessments, and write reports of the clinical processes. Besides attending to other health centers, for example, the Spanish Paralympic Committee, and a very important hospital in Madrid called Jiménez Díaz Foundation. During the training, they have the bibliography transcript into Braille, sound or computer support, so that with the technical means existing in the country that ONCE provides, they can complete their training. The Psychotherapy College of ONCE, in its creation in 1964, has trained more than 400 professionals with unofficial titration in psychotherapy. Thus, a small number of blind students have obtained their titration in other psychotherapy colleges. These ones, as they haven't received such qualified training as the one imparted in our psychotherapy college, have more difficulties than their peers on performing their functions. The distribution of blind professionals in their professional practice is the same as for the signed. There have been no legal restrictions, or in fact, as to the sum of their professional practice, so we can say that the rate is similar to the signed ones in the public health system, in private centers, and in self-employment. In a random sample taken from 97 blind psychotherapists, 47 are working in the public administration, 25 in private companies, 23 are self-employed, and the other 2 work in NGOs. In order to enable its alumni to the permanent updating of their knowledge, the Psychotherapy College organized congresses and postgraduate courses in which blind and partial signed professionals have priority. And it also arranged scholarships to facilitate the access to the postgrad course in the university or in any other. The level achieved is satisfactory, as the blind and partial signed psychotherapists have a good level of labor acceptance, showing that their disability is not an impediment to make a good professional labor, being perfectly integrated into the world of education and healthcare. A proof of this statement can be obtained in the clinical and academic centers of the country, or consulting to the managers of services and centers. On the Psychotherapy College regularly maintains continuous training through the organization of postgraduate courses aimed at both the blind and partial signed alumni as to signed graduates from other psychotherapy colleges from other countries too. In this way, the school promotes access to a specialization in certain fields of psychotherapy and updates the knowledge of techniques that improve the job performance of the entire occupational group. These scientific events fall into 4 groups: an annual conference of the Psychotherapy College, both at a national and international level, and with a monographic sense, lasting 2 days. Seminars of professional specialization on certain techniques of general interest with a minimum duration of 40 hours. Course in a specialist in articular psychotherapy of 600 hours during 2 courses taught by professionals from the schools itself and other collaborators of it. And in a university master degree in psychotherapy of the musculoskeletal system orthopedic manual psychotherapy. Our college also maintains a system of awarding scholarships to the brightest academic record of the last 2 school years, under the supervision and guidance of a professor from the Psychotherapy College. During 2 years, the graduate makes a research on a given topic proposed by him or by the institution itself. In the last 2 years, the college has earned 3 awards for research projects with a monetary prize and 2 honorable mentions and also an award to the Sociosanitary Institution of the Year ranked by Scientific Society of Pneumology and Thoracic Surgery. The level achieved is satisfactory as the blind and visually impaired psychotherapists have a high level of job acceptance, proving that disability is not an impediment to a good professional work, being perfectly integrated into the world of education and care. Proof of this, as I mentioned before, can be obtained from the clinical and university centers in the country of asking to the responsible of services and centers. As of December the 31st of last year, more than 12% of members of ONCE engaged in outside companies were psychotherapists. This percentage is only exceeded by professional categories as administrative and telephone operators, but it must be stressed that the 30% of psychotherapists employed are totally blind, so it is a good career option for people without any functional residual sight. In Spain nowadays, psychotherapy profession is one of the best career opportunities for blind and visually impaired people. The ONCE Psychotherapy College is a recognized prestige center in Spain and beyond, where generation of psychotherapists are formed with a greater knowledge than the one taught by other colleges. This makes it possible that the unemployment rate of psychotherapists enrolled to ONCE is close to 0. I'm going to bring up some figures. The new places offered during this year were 24. The total current grade students last year were 84. Engaged in postgraduate course last year were over 300. The total graduate of the school is 438, by sex 108 women, 258 men. Subsequent occupation index 100 per 100. About the 21st century therapy, we think that medium age or elderly, young people, elite athletes, children, even babies, women and men, there is no age group or sex that is unfit for a psychotherapy treatment when they have certain ailments of a very diverse kind, with the result of ostensible improvement in most of cases in their respective conditions. Science and art of psychical therapy, psychotherapy has been raised as an essential specialty in 21st century therapies aimed at improving the welfare and quality of life of any section of the population. This is a set of methods, activities and techniques to cure and prevent, promote health, recover, rehabilitate and empower. At present, the psychotherapist is integrated in a multidisciplinary teams and is involved in different areas of health: traumatology, orthopedic, rheumatology, neurology, pulmonology, urology, cardiology, and so on. Its proper preparation is essential to meet the needs that are required and the expectations in each race. Therefore, we will continue supporting this profession based, as in these last 50 years, in a good formation essential to create competitive psychotherapists in the labor market. About the measures and support services for the blind psychotherapist. Blindness, far from being an advantage to develop the profession of physiotherapist, is a very important inconvenience for this and for many other normal activities of life. Probably blind people in general are more likely to use touch to recognize objects in their normal life, but that is not enough to assume that just that fact ensures attitudes to be good psychotherapists. As in all disciplines, good training linked to good attitudes are what make good professionals. In Spain, blind psychotherapists have more help than any other signed ones in the development of their professions. In the field of private and public health, there are usually medical assistants when the number of psychotherapists justified it, but it's not uncommon to find small psychotherapy departments with one or two therapists in which there is no auxiliary support. If they exist, they have the function to stimulate the functioning of the departments, preparing stretchers, accompanying and helping patients, give the instruments and the equipment needed to the psychotherapist, making receptionists and sometimes doing administrative tasks. It is undeniable that today digital screens and displays are inconvenient to which no solution has been given yet. But it is also true that the training and knowledge about electromedical equipment, which is what often leads to these problems to the blind, can make that despite these drawbacks, they can be used very effectively by them. Sometimes students are told that they can request from the parents if they have no other help at that time to read the information that appears on the screen to make a proper application of it. Finally, types of jobs, places where they are development. Blind psychotherapists in Spain work in all kinds of areas, and to make a brief relationship, we can say that they do in a professional handball team, which has been a champion of Europe, public and private retirement homes, special education schools with severely affected children, for example, cerebral palsy, public and private hospitals, in hospital floors, and sometimes in intensive care units or in management functions, in small and medium clinics, often of their own property, also performing the management tasks, in public health centers treating outpatients, in patients association as multiple sclerosis or spinal cord injury, as teacher in public and private universities, and sometimes in management positions of responsibility posts in professional associations. In short, blind psychotherapists in Spain have reached to the same level of professional development as the rest of psychotherapy professionals, and we believe that this experience of 50 years can be perfectly reproducible in any other country around us. And in the end, we are going to see a video about alcohol. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much for this presentation. It was really interesting. Also the video here. Do you have any questions?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Mr. Button would like to know how many visually impaired physiotherapists you've got. I'm not sure we've heard the information. How many visual impaired physiotherapists have you got in Spain altogether?
Can you repeat the first part of the question? Because
How many?
How many?
¿Cuántos visual impaired physiotherapists have you got in Spain altogether?
438.
400?
38.
Okay.
I'm sorry. sorry. 438, I think. It's more than 400, I don't know. I think it's 438.
But I think that's the number of graduated.
Yes, that's the number of graduates.
You mean in total with people
We've
who
got
don't,
2,000 in France.
people who didn't study in our school? I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But
Sorry.
I think I have the figures in my computer. I can tell you. Sorry? I think I have the figures in my computer. Then maybe I can tell you a bit.
How much does the education cost, and do the students have to pay themselves? We heard about some scholarships, but what about the other students?
No, once pay the education, not the students.
But do you know more or less the amount of...
No, but I can't send you by mail.